Hey, you guys, and welcome. So, this is just a quick talk on how we might transmute our suffering into something useful to somebody else, or even better, into joy, or maybe into the answers that we've been seeking for a very long time, if not our entire lives. So I guess this is low-key my first health journey vlog, but I don't want this to just be me reciting what's going on with my stuff, because we all have stuff going on, and I don't think people really need extra weight. So what I'll talk about today is just one thing. Sometimes when you are dealing with chronic illness, which is something that I am working through and working on getting help with, it's an autoimmune condition. And it can put your entire life to a screeching halt. Sometimes when you are in this journey and having to finally face the music and take care of yourself, it becomes illuminated not only why you got sick in the first place, but the answers, even though they're difficult, of what actions you need to take besides the obvious, right? Like seeking whatever type of medical help that you feel that you have faith in. I'm not going to comment on the modern healthcare system in this video, but things can happen that can feel very frustrating, and it can feel like extra weight. And if we step back and look at them, I think what I'm noticing is they actually have some useful information. So here's one thing. One thing that I have noticed in navigating chronic illness is a lot of people don't understand what that's like if they themselves have never dealt with it, or if someone very close to them that they paid attention to has not dealt with it. Life moves incredibly fast. People are constantly hypnotized by screens. You could tell somebody that you fainted and wound up in the hospital and all this shit happened to you, and in about 15 seconds, a lot of people could forget and then just become more concerned with, well, when's the next time they can see you, or what can you do for them, or something. Just they'll skim right over it. In a society where we have like murder videos going around social media all the time, to say that people are desensitized is probably a little generous. So it can be really frustrating when you have to cancel a lot of life, when you miss out on stuff, right? So I'm a musician, I'm also a poet and a singer and a songwriter. So I have had, in the last year alone, I have had to cancel so many shows, performance opportunities. Also just on a social level, I have had to cancel a lot of events or things that I wanted to do because of my health. And that should be ideally something that I can maybe celebrate, because a big reason why I have run my body into the ground and developed this condition over the years is precisely because I did not have definitive yeses and nos, right? Boundaries, in other words. Trying to be everything at once, everywhere at once, whatever you think people expect of you, which is an insane kaleidoscope to navigate all at once, right? It's just not possible. We're not machines. And it's a betrayal of self. And if you carry on living that way long enough, the body is essentially going to protect itself. It's going to rebel. The body is very intelligent. So you would think that me finally having the ability to say, hey, no, I can't push my body any further. I'm already crashing out. I can't do this right now, or have to cancel. Of course, we're going to be bummed about that. We want to participate in life. But it is actually a marker of progress, because we are being realistic and being in acceptance of our limitations in this season, right? But that in its own can be a really hard thing to learn how to start doing. Then there's a curveball. So for the people in your life that you love or care about, and vice versa, when they don't understand that you need to take time away from the normal routines that they're used to you showing up for your health, or that you're not just magically better the next day, that can be really difficult. And sometimes, especially if you've got your own internal shame complex for saying no or slowing down, and already dealing with chronic illness is incredibly stressful, when you have to over explain yourself to people and they still don't get it. And then you kind of start to sense, like, maybe from some people, some animosity or frustration because you can't show up the way that they want you to. That is a really fucking tough thing. And that's just what is on my mind today. I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say, cut them all off, F them, and start thinking negatively about them, because I don't think thinking negatively about people is helpful. I don't think harboring resentment and anger are in any way healthy, right? We're gonna feel them, and I think that there are ways that we need to process them so they are properly digested and don't build up in our system. But I think for the most part, I mean, unless somebody is genuinely abusive about it, which in that case, yes, I would cut them off, absolutely. I think in a lot of cases, it's just that people, they just don't get it. And life moves so fast, and we do live in a culture where people are more concerned about kind of what's right in front of them, themselves, their lives, their wants and needs before anything else, right? In order to really know where someone else is coming from, you have to have the ability to listen, not just hear, but listen. And that requires the ability to slow down. And most of us don't have that. A big reason why I'm in my situation right now with an autoimmune disorder and having to learn how to calm down the flare and reverse it, which is a process, is because my whole life I have been in all gas, no brakes, fight or flight, survival mode. And that's not a slow living at all. That's not somebody who knows how to slow down either. So I'm sure I have been that person to other people as well. I can pretty much guarantee you I have. So keeping that at the forefront of, it's not that these are bad people, it's just that we are trying to heal in a toxic culture that we ourselves have also become products of, helps. So I was very frustrated with that nevertheless, right? And so I feel well enough today to where I was able to go on a hike, so I did. And the transmission from that hike, I guess this is in reverse, it's like a part 2 to this talk. I'm gonna put that on my Patreon only, so the link for that will be in this description. I'm not gonna put that on YouTube. But as I was walking through the mangroves, I did have something come to me that I think is probably worth sharing. And I heard myself say to myself in my mind, when are you going to stop caring so much about being enough for other people and start concerning yourself with being enough for yourself? Because it is this endless race in grabbing toward everything external to us, whether that is vice, material, relationships, people's approval, society's approval. Oh, if I can just get fill in the blank, then I'll be happy. If I could just get fill in the blank, then I'll be okay. For those of us who have gotten those things that we thought would somehow make us complete, we know that that's not true, right? It doesn't, our inner wholeness does not come from things outside of ourselves in the end. And so it just hit me, because even on the hike, I was still, ruminating on, the anxieties. Why am I concerning myself with this? Because I'm still abandoning myself and my body, and illness and dis-ease or disease is often the result, in my experience at least, of a very long or lifelong pattern of a severance between the mind and the body, because they actually are not separate. But when there is a total obliviousness to the fact that we are spirits, we are a soul, right? So the spiritual aspect of life. And when there is a total disconnect between mind and body, we stop being able to receive information from our creator, or at least being able to hear it. And we stop being able to receive the wisdom from our body, which is what we call intuition, right? And that comes from the soul, the spirit as well. And so when you run long enough like that, you tend to not make great decisions. You tend to never put yourself even on the top 5 list of priorities, at least not in ways that they should be. You tend to ignore all the warning signs before you wind up with an autoimmune disorder, right? Because if I reflect back, which this condition has allowed me the time to slow down and reflect, I actually can see that this has been going on for about 10 years as far as noticeable symptoms. And they were brushed under the rug because they were inconvenient or they were misdiagnosed or whatever, luckily now I know what I'm dealing with, but that's a really long time to be symptomatic and still be running yourself into the ground. And if 10 years ago is when it just started showing up and I just now noticed, imagine how long there was a problem before that, and I'm in my 30s, if you're wondering. So like this, I was having health issues in my 20s, in my early 20s, that I was not acknowledging, I was busy. I was doing a million things. I still am, but now I am kind of forced to stop and to triage and to say no a lot more and to live more seasonally. And even though it might not be what I want, I have to learn to put first what I actually need. Often those two things are at odds and not the same thing. I hope this is helpful to somebody. I guess I would say that my disturbance in being so worried about, are people going to get mad at me if I can't show up to all the things? The beauty in that led me back toward the solution of, when are you gonna be the person that you need for yourself, whom you have neglected and abandoned for most, if not all, of your life? Often the outside disturbances are disturbances at all because we have something parallel or identical within ourselves that we haven't dealt with. And so I think the reason why not showing up the way that others perhaps might want me to in this moment, just because I physically can't, maybe that bothered me so much because for longer than I would probably care to admit, I have been ignoring my own self, my own body, my own spirit and intuition, and not showing up for myself. Because in this world, we have friends, we have partners, we have lovers, we have family, we have that. Some of us don't, you know what I mean? It's a sliding scale, but we have other people that we're on this journey with. But at the end of the day, when stuff hits the fan, when you get sick, no one's gonna be there no one's coming to save any of us. We have to be our own best friends. And I absolutely believe that God is central to this as well. And I don't mean religious or dogmatic personifications per se. I think that we have the grand adventure of getting to know who God is. We don't need a middleman anymore. But if religion works for you, that's great. I'm more so talking to the people that the word God might be off-putting towards, because once upon a time it was off-putting to me as well. But yeah, if we don't know how to be present for and listen to ourselves, if we can't truly take care of ourselves, and I don't mean financially, anybody can earn money, anybody can work, right? Unless you get yourself so sick that all of a sudden, oops, you got to take time off. I hope you have savings. And some people can't, I don't mean material, like provisions. I don't mean like that. I mean, like, are we a friend to ourselves? Can we listen? Can we take care of ourselves when we are sick, truly? Can we deny ourselves things that we might want, but are actually horrible for what we need? And that can be quite poisonous too. Can we be that good friend to ourselves that is not going to allow us sacrifice what it is we need most for that which we might want right now? And that's what I'm faced with, and that's what I'm walking through as far as navigating chronic illness, and I hope it's helpful to somebody. This conversation is continued on my Patreon. The link is in the description. There's all kinds of stuff on my Patreon. So I hope it's helpful. It's uncomfortable for me to make these videos, hence me just now doing it, but I'll try to post more of these on YouTube. I hope it's helpful. It's important to me to find the purpose in the suffering and to see how that can be our doorway into greater joy. Because very few things will get your attention than the loss of your health. Because without health, we have nothing. If we do not respect and take care of our bodies, all of a sudden, all those things that we thought were so important, they suddenly mean nothing too. Anybody who has been bedridden for an extended period of time due to an illness knows this to be very, very true. So if you have experience in dealing with any kind of prolonged illness or autoimmune conditions, I would love to hear from you. So please, if you're comfortable, do share. And I also have great faith in the wisdom of the body to repair itself. I think it is a brilliant physician. All the millions of cells we are made up of are really here to help us and keep us alive. The thing that we have to harmonize to allow that process to take place is our often very unruly minds and the millions of directions that this culture and society and illusory world pulls it in simultaneously. Easier said than done, but it can be done.